In the PhD Chamber of Commerce is part of our outreach activities that the department has, income tax department, with various stakeholders, tax practitioners. We get to interact with the stakeholders, understand from them their problems, explain to them what the provisions are, because very often, especially in exemption sections, we find that there is a bit of a knowledge gap between what the law says and what actually the practices being followed. So it is our endeavour to disseminate information, to smooth over the gaps, and also understand the concerns of the tax practitioners, to see how we can improve ourselves. Some of them, of course, relate to policy matters. They will take it up with the government separately.
So there was also discussion that some CSRs are not very accurate. They are bogus.
No. Let me hasten to add that this is not the regular practice, but as in everything else, there will be outliers, and there are outliers where we have seen CSR expenditure not being spent in the right way as it was supposed to have been spent. I've elaborated on that in my address. So I've only urged the tax practitioners present, the representatives of the companies, to be vigilant about these things.
This year is unique as far as the registration of trusts is concerned, because all those old trusts which were actually given 5 years registration in 2021, they are all now coming at one go in the same setup for registration. So there were certain doubts, so that this process is smooth, because these are trusts which have already been registered once and eyeballed. So we had a long discussion on that to tell them that how we are trying to simplify the process so that they don't face much hassle.
You were also talking about Oxford and Harvard. What the connection?
Now, if you see all over the world, the big institutions like Oxford, Harvard, Columbia, they are all built on endowments. The core of these institutions are endowments. Now, somehow, this is one thing which always comes to my mind, that why is it that we don't have an institution like that in India? Why has our endowments, they have not grown the way they should have grown in the rest of the world? So maybe there's something there to work upon by us, all of us.
So you also said that NGOs are like fringe governments.
In NGO, non-government means there's a word government in non-government. So, in fact, where the government ends, and most of the time government is very, comfortable in working with NGOs to deliver government schemes and programs. And that is why I always see them as fringe government.
So the word of the day in the event, I believe, was trust.
Nonetheless, trust as an institution, trust as a trait in human beings, and trust among each other is very important. And that also is the essence of the entire philanthropic space which we have in the country.
Today, the PhD Chamber of Commerce Direct Tax Committee conducted, in partnership with the exemption regime of the Income Tax Department, an outreach program where the officials from the Income Tax Department, including the Principal Chief Commissioner and the Principal Commissioner, had come to the PhD Chamber to explain to our audience and explain to the members how easy now, under the new Income Tax Act, the charitable regime will be, and that the charitable regime is a partnership with the assessee and establishes trust for a tax certain jurisdiction and a tax certain regime going forward.
Well, there was also presentation in the this event. So what are the major takeaways?
So the major takeaways are that the tax department is not something to be fearful of. The tax regime has come, the exemption regime in our Act came from the 1922 Act, and it's important to understand the legacy of the exemption regime that we are living with today. And this current overhaul of the exemption regime in the new Income Tax Act 2025, which will be applicable from 1st April 26, is now the new change. We spoke about the charitable regime changes both in the UK and in Australia, and how our regime has actually been more lucidly explained and has reduced in size and will have ease of compliance versus other jurisdictions where these regimes continue to be very, very complex. So the key takeaway, I think, for each of us today was that we're looking at an easier regime going forward.
Last question. What are your comments on this new income tax?
So the new Income Tax Act, just for exemptions or overall? So the new Income Tax Act, I think PhD has been at the forefront of it. We have done a lot of deliberations with the government, with the ministry, and we have given very good suggestions, which we see now in this new act. So as PhD chamber, we are very happy on this new Income Tax Act 25, and we are very happy to see a much easier read and a much easier application of the law that will come in the times to come. Thank you. And in the exemption regime also, the compliance will become much easier, the forms are expected to be much easier, the understanding of the law and the all the sections coming together in one place, it will make exemptions and the charitable regime much easier to implement in the times to come.